For thousands of years, humanity has been obsessed with one single powerful idea. What if the future wasn't some big mystery, but a code? A code written down long ago, just waiting for the right people at the right time to finally crack it. But what if the key to unlocking it all wasn't some ancient secret, but was sitting right there on your phone? What if the code was meant to be read alongside your daily news feed? It's a shocking thought. And for a lot of people, it's not just a thought, it's a certainty.
Yeah, there's actually a name for this. It's called newspaper exegesis. It's this method of reading ancient prophecies with one eye on the sacred text and the other glued to the breaking news. It promises to bring order to our chaotic world by showing us it's all part of a divine plan. And look, this isn't some fringe idea cooked up in a basement. Listen to how author Mark Hitchcock puts it. He calls the prophet Ezekiel God's war correspondent for today's newspapers. The confidence is just absolute. The Bible in one hand, today's news in the other. It's a powerful, compelling way to see the world. But here's the real question. Does it actually work?
To figure that out, we have to go to ground zero. We have to look at one of the most famous and, frankly, one of the most difficult prophecies in the entire Bible, the invasion of Gog and Magog, right out of Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39. This passage is the ultimate test case.
So here's the picture Ezekiel paints. A massive future invasion of the nation of Israel. It's supposed to happen in the latter days, and it's led by this shadowy figure from a land far to the north, who pulls together a whole coalition of nations to attack. And this is the part that gets people so invested. The text isn't vague. It drops a whole list of names: Gog, Magog, Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, Persia, Cush, Put, Gomer, and Beth Togarmah. For interpreters, these aren't just ancient, dusty names. They are clues, a list of suspects in a huge geopolitical whodunit. But this is exactly where the story starts to get complicated. Because when you actually look back through history at how people have tried to solve this mystery, you find something really strange. The prime suspect, well, it keeps changing. Here's the core issue, the pattern you can't unsee once you see it. For centuries, interpreters using this newspaper method have consistently identified the main enemy, Gog, with whatever the biggest, scariest global threat was in their own time. Just look at this. It lays the pattern out so clearly. Back when the Ottoman Empire was threatening all of Europe, interpreters were convinced Gog was the Turks. Then you fast forward to the Cold War. Suddenly, a whole new consensus forms. Gog, Meshech, Rosh. That's Moscow. That's the Soviet Union. And today, the conversation has shifted again. It's either Russia, once more, or a modern coalition of Islamic nations. The prophecy hasn't changed one bit, but the newspapers sure have. So what this shifting identity really exposes is something much deeper. It's a fundamental clash, two completely different ways of reading a text like this in the first place. Okay, so you've basically got two camps. On one side, there's the symbolic view. These folks say, wait a minute, this is an allegory. Gog isn't one specific country. Gog is a stand-in for the forces of evil in any age. The point isn't predicting a future war. It's about the timeless promise that God always wins. Then, on the other side, you have the literal view. They say, no, the names are real, the geography is specific, and this battle is a literal event that just hasn't happened yet. Biblical scholar Douglas Stewart makes the symbolic case really well. He says, look, this is apocalyptic literature. It is designed to be figurative. If you get bogged down trying to match Gog to Russia or Iran, you're actually missing the much bigger, more important point: God's ultimate victory over evil, period. But the literal view has a really powerful counterargument. They'll turn to passages like this one from Isaiah, where God himself throws down a challenge to false gods. He basically says, you think you're gods, then do the one thing only I can do. Tell me the future. For this side, God naming specific nations and outcomes isn't a distraction from the point, it is the point. It's the ultimate proof that he's in control of history. And I have to stress, this is not just some academic debate for theologians. How you answer this question has profound, real-world consequences for how you view everything that's happening right now. Why does this all matter so much? Well, because if you believe you're watching Russia and Iran line up to fulfill Ezekiel 38, that is absolutely going to shape your views on foreign policy. It defines whether you see Scripture as a book of timeless truths or as a divine itinerary for the end of the world. It fundamentally changes whether you see your role as engaging with the world or just standing back to watch for the end.
So that leaves us right here with the essential question. When we read these ancient prophecies, are we looking at a detailed roadmap of the future, a play-by-play of events that are about to unfold on our screens? Or are we looking at something else entirely? A timeless, symbolic picture of the great struggle between darkness and light, with a promise of ultimate victory that was meant for every generation. That's the puzzle of prophecy, and how you decide to solve it changes everything.